Remember when you used to go into Woolworths and get your pick and mix and your 7-inch singles? Well, I never used to get pick and mix, but I got a lot of 7-inch singles. Let's take a look at them today on The Lock. One thing when I was growing up, because I couldn't really afford albums and they were like just way at my price end really, sometimes you'd just be able to go uptown on yourself, which was crazy really. I can remember going into town when I was like 8 or 9 years old on myself and then have a couple of quid on me, and you'd nearly always end up in Woolworths because it was pretty much the only shop that sold like everything, and they had tons of like 7-inch singles. I'm quite lucky really, I grew up in like a relatively small place, but there was a couple of shops that sold like 7-inch singles and stuff like that. But like I say, because I couldn't afford other ways of getting music, I've ended up with loads of 7-inch singles, and I've just sorted out a few of the best ones so you don't have to sit through like a 4-hour video. But here's one, it's Kenny Loggins' Danger Zone off Top Gun. And Kenny Loggins is one of those artists where I genuinely didn't realise how much I liked him until way after the fact. When you've just got all these songs coming out all at once, like Danger Zone and Meet Me Halfway from Over the Top, and of course Footloose. I remember renting a CD from the library, I think it was called Live from the Redwoods. And it was like, what other song did he do? I thought he did Holiday Road, but that's Lindsey Buckingham. Anyway, but there was a lot of Kenny Loggins songs that I really liked. And like I say, just looking back on it, it's like, oh wow, you just didn't realise how cool an artist was until years after the fact. But there's Kenny Loggins. Ooh, this is Gladys Knight, minus the pips, License to Kill, from the film of the same name. Something about that song, and I never noticed my imagination, because I'm so used to like listening to it on the film. But on the single version, I'm sure they say License to Kill, not License to Kill. And one thing, I won't be able to look myself in the mirror if I don't mention it, but one scene in License to Kill that never gets nowhere near enough credit as far as I'm concerned is the bit where M's taking, when he's revoking his licence. And it's the best bit of acting in any James Bond film. But I'll be the only person in the world that's ever mentioned it, but there you go, License to Kill. Well, this one's got like an interesting little backstory, well, interesting to me. It's Tapao, China in Your Hand. And I've mentioned these people on loads of different videos and commentaries and things like that. The people who used to live across the road from me, they used to like lend me videos and let me watch videos and record stuff off their satellite TV and stuff. But they used to buy me things as Christmas presents, and one time they brought me that. It's cool, nice little story. When you can impress somebody by getting a 7-inch single. Ooh, this is the theme tune to ITV's Gladiators. And one thing that, not trying to toot my own horn, but I'll do it for once. It's a very mild superpower that I've got, that it seems like most people won't admit to songs that they really like if they are a little bit quote unquote embarrassing. And I'm not embarrassed by that song at all by any means, but it seems to me, if you say to most people what kind of music you like, they nearly always say something really respectable like the Beatles or Johnny Cash. And if they're really pretentious, it has to be, the original mono pressing on some weird record label you've never heard of. But to me, I could listen to that song any day of the week and do you have the power of the gladiators? Oh, Weird Al Yankovic. Got this from W.H. Smith. I can still remember going into W.H. Smith and buying loads of records and film soundtracks and stuff like that. But there's quite a tradition in America, or at least it seems that way anyway to me. Loads of people saying they used to buy comedy records and listening to like Richard Pryor records and things like that. That's pretty much one of the few comedy records I've got. I think it's like literally only 1 or 2 records that I've got, but obviously that's a parody of the Michael Jackson song. But I do love the B-side. You make me, you make me, you make me, that's what you're doing to me. For one main reason, he mentions Care Bears the movie, which anything mentions that instantly gets a free pass. And while we talk about B-sides, reminds me of a great scene from the film Diner, where this guy gets angry at his girlfriend for never asking him what's on the flip side.
You never ask me what's on the flip side.
No, because I don't give a shit.
One of my favourite songs are B-sides. I think I miss B-sides. Oh, this is Just Say No from the cast of Grange Hill. Grange Hill was a British TV show about a school, and this was obviously when the Just Say No craze, and that song right there turned me into a right square, along with the Winners Don't Use Drugs the thing that was featured on arcade machines was like the FBI warning. I remember it had this specific guy's name, and I remember thinking, oh, winners don't use drugs, so I was a good Hulkamaniac, and I just theoretically took me vitamins, but not really. But yeah, that's why I don't do drugs and why my brain is full of useless information. I can remember the rap to this song. What was it made you do it? You had no need, just a taste and a craving, and it turned to greed. I'm sure you get the idea. Turn that 7-inch single off. This is Linda Ronstadt and James Ingram, Somewhere Out There, from An American Tale, the Fievel there on the cover. Whoops. The thing that always springs to mind when I think of that song, I remember being on a double-decker bus going into the big town centre, just up the road from the smaller town centre. And yeah, we used to have this independent bus company called PMT. And I remember sitting on the front seat of this double-decker bus, looking out of the window, and thinking about just how good that riff was, like somewhere out there. I just remember thinking, I think it's one of the first times I can remember thinking how songs were put together and how songs were arranged and things like that. But yeah, Somewhere Out There. Again, talking about people being embarrassed about the records, this is Anyone Can Fall in Love by Anita Dobson, Brian May's wife from Queen. It's the theme tune to a British soap opera called EastEnders. But one thing about that song that always pops in my head when I think about that song is it's one of the easiest theme tunes in the world to play. Just go right down to the start of a keyboard, just go dun 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 dun, and there you go. You've played the theme tune to EastEnders really terribly. Ooh. Now we're talking. This is Lamar, Never Ending Story, with an amazing B-side by Giorgio Moroder called Ivory Tower. And I love the old 80s hair there, pretty cool. One thing about that record, I'm sure they must have made this deliberately like this, but when it gets to the very end of the record, it actually rests in the groove and it never ends. That's not just a clever name, mate. Oh, this record is not mine. I would openly admit to buying it if it was mine, but it's actually one of my mum's records. My mum used to be a big fan of Des O'Connor, and she went to see him live and stuff like that. But I know where I get my habits from now, because I did buy my mum the autobiography. She never read it. I brought this record. I think I'm the only person that played it, so wonder where I got my habits from, right? I'll talk about my mum. My mum's favourite shows was Prisoner Cell Block H. This is the theme from that. But this song's actually got a funny little thing. It's got the same label on both sides. So I don't know if that makes it worth anything or not, but he used to give me roses, I wish he could again. And something about this song, something about this programme, well, it explains a lot. It used to be on at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and everybody we know used to stay up and watch it. And it's now why I couldn't concentrate at school, and I'm a bit stupid. Well, that's blame it on that one record. This is Singita Toy. God, I used to buy a lot of weird stuff, eh? But something that always pops in my head, not about that song, but there used to be a TV show on. Well, it's actually still on, I never think about it. It's called Through the Keyhole. And anytime I think of Singita, I always think of when she was on Through the Keyhole. It was this show where they used to go in celebrities' houses and you'd have to guess whose celebrity's house it was. But when they went in her house, she had 2 VHS recorders linked together. And when they went to this celebrity panel and you had to guess who it was, I can always remember somebody saying, "Oh, the only reason she's got 2 videos is so she can pirate films," and that's the my one memory of Singita is VHS videos. This is how cool old records were. This is I Want to Be Your Drill Instructor from Full Metal Jacket. Even Stanley Kubrick films had a tie-in single. How awesome is that? But I've got 3 stories to do with this song. I remember one of my friends playing it me down the phone. I phoned him on a payphone, saying, "This is an amazing song." And I heard a bit of it on the payphone. I just instantly go out and get it. And a separate friend, when I brought the record, I went round his house and played it. And this is how stupid I was. There was one part where it's like, I think it stutters in the record. And we honestly thought the record was broke. We thought there was a scratch on the record. And probably the coolest story is one of my favourite teachers, my music teacher, Mr. Hitchin, used to let us take records in, and people would play soundtracks and all these different things. But I remember playing that song in music, and he was explaining to me how drill instructors in America, for stop the soldiers thinking about pain when they were marching, would sing songs to take the mind off it. So I learnt something there. One of the few things I learnt at school. I took about Stanley Kubrick films had songs off him, while also Rambo films had songs off them. This is He Ain't Heavy, He's My Brother. And this was a weird thing that happened when that came out. The original Hollies version came out at the same time. And it's a bit of a running joke between me and my mate now that this is the crappy Bill Medley version. And there's also another B-side by Giorgio Moroder, The Bridge. Actually, if you're into Giorgio Moroder, there's a great Daft Punk song that's all about Giorgio Moroder, so check that out. Oh, this has got a really weird backstory. A local radio station came to our school once. I come to the school on a Saturday because the radio station was there, and they did all these wacky competitions like whoever could bring the biggest item in from home would win, like, you know, I was going to say an Xbox, but they weren't going there. A SNES or something. Actually, they weren't going. Maybe it was a Nintendo Entertainment System. Anyway, that's beside the point. But they were doing all these crazy competitions, you could win badges and caps and stuff. But I was dead shy when I was at school. But for some reason, I went on stage, and they asked me a question, and the question was, "What is a saluki?" I paused just so you can maybe have a little guess yourself. But the answer is apparently a Japanese dog. I don't know how I got it right. I got it right, and they gave me this and two other singles. I think one of them was a Bobby Brown song and another one. This is a little bit more modern. This is Ugly Kid Joe version of Cats in the Cradle. And I know this is probably sacrilegious to say it, but I actually prefer it to the original version. It's one of the best songs of all time. Anybody who hasn't heard Cats in the Cradle, I mean, I don't even know that's possible. But the video is really cool as well. It's got all this cool lighting. I remember the lighting just sort of panning back and forth and stuff like that, and Whitfield Crane like really looking cool into the camera lens and stuff like that. Lovely Kid Joe. This was in my going into rock music phase. This is one of the best rock bands of all time. This is the almighty All Sussed Out on clear vinyl. Ooh, look at that. And this instantly nails it to the tongue. 99p, what does that get you nowadays? But this nails it down to the time period. It was written about the Labour government and protesting about the criminal justice bill. And I remember that was when I was proper into me hardcore rock phase. Used to buy rock magazines all the time and listen to. I still love like modern rock music and stuff, but it was when I was really, really hardcore into it. And all the magazines were saying stuff like, "Oh, if you're wearing a heavy metal T-shirt, the police can stop you," and "Oh, you won't be able to listen to loud rock music." And what happened when the criminal justice bill came in? Nothing. There you go. It's the almighty, featuring the guitarist from Wayne's World. And that song was used on an advert for Top of the Pops, so about that. This is another Christmas present record. This is Annie Lennox and Al Green, Put a Little Love in Your Heart, from the end credits of Scrooged. I remember saying to my sister, like, she said, "Well, what do you want for Christmas?" And one of the things I said was, "Can you get me that song?" And she did. She got it from one of the best local independent record shops of all time, Michael Music. But yeah, it's, again, who doesn't know that song? An absolute classic, Debbie Gibson. But a lot of people say about the 80s, like, "Oh, who's your favourite Corey? Who's your favourite too, Ronnie?" Well, the big question in the 80s for any teenage boy was Tiffany or Debbie Gibson, and I was happy with either. Well, I don't know what that means, but talk about the flip side. But great B-sides was, this is one of the best B-sides of all time, "Over the Wall." Over the wall, there is a new world waiting over the wall. And yeah, you get the idea, but there you go, there's some of my favourite 7-inch singles. Like Casey Kasem would say, keep your feet on the ground, keep reaching for the stars, and keep it locked.